Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. When we last visited Mike Vogel in Georgetown, Ohio earlier this year, he showed us a number of horse-drawn wagons he had in his collection after restoring them from varying states of disrepair. We walked around his shop and looked over parts of a wagon he had either repaired, restored, or replaced. Here's a photo of how the wagon looked when it arrived at his place. And here it is, finished and ready to be added to his collection. Today we're going to look at a couple of old and unique manure spreaders. One had already been restored when we visited, and the other was ready to go into the shop. After Mike, we'll finish up this episode with some footage from an informal logging day when Tim Christopher of Decorah, Iowa, invites teamsters to bring their horses, mules, and donkeys to haul out firewood. For many of the animals, this is the first time they've worked in the woods. We now have 4 volumes of America's Rural Yesterday books with photos of farm life 100 years ago. Fieldwork has images of horses in the fields working the ground, planting and harvesting the crop. Barn and Farmyard shows farmers putting that crop in the barn, silo, or corn crib and caring for poultry, hogs, cattle, and more. In At Home and in Town, farm families prepare Sunday dinner, relax in the parlor, drive to town by buggy or wagon, and visit the general store. Finally, Early Tractors has over 250 photos of early American tractors like Alice Chalmers, Oliver, John Deere, Farmall, Minneapolis Moline, and many more. These photos are of new tractors back in the day and show how they were configured coming out of the factory. Buy any of these books for $24.95 plus shipping. When you buy 2 or more, the price per book goes down, all the way to $17.49 per book when you buy all 4. To order, just call 1-877-647-2452 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. That's 877-647-2452.
This is the next one in the shop, but it's, as you can tell, it's going to be mostly nothing replaced, and it's just going to be cleaned up and keep it as original as possible.
Where did you get this?
It came from Northern Ohio also. This to me is the most fascinating part of the spreader, the
paddles.
wooden spreaders. And there's a pretty interesting story about this, of research I've done. Joe Oppenheim was the guy that invented this. He was a school teacher in Maria Stein, Ohio. And when he was out at, first of all, he noticed that a lot of his boys especially, were missing school a lot. And what they were doing is they had the old-fashioned spreaders that just left it in a trail.
Right.
And then they had to go out with pitchforks and spread it. Well, the boys were having to miss school spreading manure. So he thought he needed to come up with a way to keep them in school. So he would be out on recess, and they played a game during recess, the kids did, of what they called tom ball.
Okay.
Which was like baseball, only they used a wooden paddle. And he noticed, watching them play, whatever angle that paddle was at, the ball would go that way. And he thought, why not apply that to the back of the spreader? So that's where these came from. Obviously today they're using metal.
Right, and they're more like fins, but yeah, that is amazing.
This is the first model they had. These were one above the other.
Okay.
And the only change they made was they moved this one back.
Which makes sense.
Right. So the company, I guess Joe died right after they started producing these, and his wife took his life insurance money and reinvested in the company.
Wow.
And kept it going. And they eventually moved to Coldwater, Ohio, which had a railroad depot.
So the company you're talking about is New Idea.
Right. Well,
wow.
And the way that came about, when he first made these, the local farmers would get them, and they were a little skeptical at the beginning, but they kind of came around, and the spreaders became known as Joe's New Idea.
Really?
So that's where the name for the company
I'll be darned. I didn't know that at all. That's terrific. That's very interesting.
And they've become a very popular, especially around here, there's all New Idea spreaders.
And of course, the slope of the bed helps move the manure down. And that went away eventually, where it got more flat.
Yeah. Of course, they have all the power they need now with the PTO.
Well, but I even mean the ground drive stuff. The one that we had a New Idea spreader, but it was a much more modern one, and it was flat. It was level to the ground.
Yeah, Dad had one at one time. He sold it.
The writing on it is all right there, isn't it?
Yeah. The guy I bought it from said that he couldn't swear to it. He bought it from the grandson of the man who originally bought it. And he claimed that the guy used it 2 times and didn't like it and parked it and never used it again.
Wow.
Now, I don't know that that would be true, but it couldn't have been used much.
Right.
With all the wood on it.
Right.
But,
wow.
I'm glad
that is a lucky
inside.
break. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a nice piece. Well, I look forward to seeing that when it's done.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to do.
So will you repaint it?
No, I'm not touching this one.
Good for you. Good
No,
for you.
I will clean it up as much as possible and probably put a lacquer over it to preserve
And that'll bring it out a little bit,
Yeah.
the writing.
it. Yeah, I'll be very careful with this one.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. This is my wagon hauler.
Yeah, I pictured you with a flatbed behind your pickup. Yeah. It's a very useful trailer.
Yeah, this is handy.
And the winch makes all the difference too.
Really.
Yep.
Yeah, the guy I went to pick this up from, he was worried to death how we were going to get it up on the trailer. I said, hey, it ain't going to be a problem. Actually, these were with another wagon I bought.
Okay.
I was one of the wagons out that I finished already.
So these aren't bang boards, these are just sides. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess maybe that might be bang board for
No, it's
pitching
just the
corn.
side,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah. And
What's this pole from? Is that is that a
that
reach?
actually is the original for that manure spreader.
It's a pole.
Yeah, and that kind of bothers me a little bit how I don't know if he used it on something else, which he's added some things to the side.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if he didn't use that on some other equipment or something.
Yeah.
Because he
That's a
didn't
long
pull that
pole,
spreader
ain't it?
enough to do that.
That's a long pole, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, right. Some kind of a spacer there or something.
Yeah. I know it's off that spreader because of this
Yeah.
hookup here, but I'm not sure what he did here.
Yeah, you can see the bright red paint. That's nice. So do you think this would have been original, or do you think it started to split?
I think it's crack. I think there is a crack in it
Yeah.
right here. See where it cracked?
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of fun too, isn't it?
Yeah, you deal with
it-
that a lot.
Well, but I mean, like, that spreader, actually not as much as some others because it got put away after it was used a few times, but old stuff, tools, they have a life, and they've got a history and a story, and that's a pretty interesting story right
Oh, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And you must run into that fairly often where you
Yeah.
see something and you're wondering why they did what they did.
Yeah, back then they weren't fixing them up to display. They were fixing them up to get back in the field, and you had to do what you had to do.
Right. But at the same time, this was replaced to do a good job. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tapered.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's probably as strong as it was before.
when I grew up, we would fix things and it wouldn't be that nice. You know, it'd just be made to work. You know what I
Nails.
mean? Yeah, we were farmer carpenters, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't have done it that nicely.
This is the spreader, the Walter Wood spreader.
Walter Wood is the name of the company?
Yeah, Walter Wood in Hoosick Falls, New York is where they were made. And
It's long.
this is the number 3. They had a 1, a 2, and a 3, and this was the largest of that they made. And
Does it work?
it works. When I brought it over here from the shop, I kicked it into gear and it worked.
Awesome.
And I have a manual for it also.
Oh, that's terrific.
And tells all about it. And like I was telling you, they would talk about how good theirs was and how bad everybody else's was.
Right, right.
And it was quite a competition back in those days to get a spreader that would spread it instead of just dumping it out.
Yeah, right, right.
And this was his idea. He had a bowed spreader on the back, and
That makes sense. It would pitch it out both directions, yeah.
according to the manual, it was the best one out there.
So was it red? Was it red?
Yeah. All the wood had to be replaced on it. Although the apron was I never had to do anything to the apron.
You're kidding.
No, it was in great shape.
That's crazy. Because you would think it would rot out. Wouldn't you?
would
I mean,
think
with manure.
the shape that everything else was in.
Yeah.
It would amaze me, but
You replaced all these.
oh yeah, all the wood had to be replaced. I think the weakness was on the other side, where this is here. They cut it down from was about 6 inches to down about 4, and it was broken right here.
Okay.
And I would say, and I've seen one other guy that had one on the internet, and his was broken in the same place.
Huh. It takes a lot of torque there. It
Yeah,
just gets
there's a
worn
lot
out.
of weight hanging off of
Yep.
that. And yeah, it's also running. It would add to it. But I would find it amazing how they came up with all this gear system
It's crazy.
back in the 1900 roughly.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, I bet it's fun to watch work.
yeah. This is there's just a big steel round bar. It bends around there, and these rotate on it.
Makes a little noise.
I bet it does.
That's nice. And
But-
so this spring lets this lift up a little bit as it's going and holds it down. Yeah. Huh.
But you don't see any of them around, so I'm not too sure they were successful.
Right.
They're certainly interesting, though.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.